Stop. If you're out there every morning with a hose in your hand, soaking your garden before work, put it down. That habit, the one that feels responsible, is why your plants are struggling. Not because you're underwatering, because you're drowning the surface and starving everything underneath it. Here's what nobody tells you. Every quick splash today, and another tomorrow, trains your roots to stay shallow. Shallow roots can't survive one hot afternoon without you. They panic the moment you skip a day, the moment a heat wave hits, the moment you leave for vacation. You haven't been keeping your garden alive. You've been making it dependent on you, one daily drink at a time. It gets worse in containers. Pots on a balcony or patio play by a completely different set of rules than your lawn or beds. And almost everyone uses the same wrong habit on both. So this video splits into two parts. What's happening underground in your beds and lawn, what's happening inside every pot you own, and in each half, one shift that ends your watering stress for good. Welcome to the Forgotten Harvest Vault. This channel exists for one reason, to dig up the growing knowledge that got buried under bad advice, marketing, and habits that feel responsible but quietly wreck your garden. That's what we do here. If you're done guessing whether your plants need more water or less, hit subscribe right now. Every video we drop is built around one goal, information that actually changes what you do the next time you pick up a hose. Let's start with the ground. Part 1. Garden beds and lawn. Here's why watering every day is working against you. Soil looks dry on top, so you grab the hose. It feels responsible. It feels like care. But underneath, something else is happening. Researchers at Texas A&M's EarthKind program found that light, daily watering only wets the top inch of soil, sometimes less before gravity and evaporation pull it right back out. The water never reaches where your plant's real root system lives. And here's the damaging part. Roots don't grow toward water that isn't there. If moisture only sits in that top inch, that's where roots stay clustered just beneath the surface, instead of pushing down to the deeper soil where moisture actually lasts. Now those shallow roots are living in the one zone that heats up fastest and dries out first. One hot stretch, one missed day. They have nowhere left to pull from. You haven't been protecting your garden from drought. You've been building one that can't survive it. So what actually works? Deep, infrequent watering instead of light, daily watering. Researchers at Utah State University found this pushes roots down toward the moisture reserves, deeper in the soil reserves, far more stable than anything sitting in that top inch you've been wetting every day. Over time, your plants stop depending on you. They start depending on the soil. Those surface-bound roots from the daily splash habit, they're the ones that scorch and collapse in the first real heat wave of summer. They were never given a reason to grow deeper. Here's how you check if you've watered deep enough. Push a screwdriver or a thin stake into the soil right after watering. Slides in easily 6 inches or more. The water reached the zone your roots actually live in. Stops hard after an inch or two. You haven't watered your garden. You've just dampened the top of it. Here's where most people still get it wrong, even after they switch to deep watering. They treat their entire garden as one watering zone instead of grouping it by water needs, what horticulturists call hydrozoning. Utah State University Extension has flagged this exact mistake. Vegetable beds end up on the same schedule as the established shrubs and perennials right next to them. But those two groups need totally different things. Vegetables are shallow-rooted, fast-growing, thirsty, almost constantly. Shrubs and perennials have deeper roots and can go far longer between waterings. Keep them on one shared schedule, and you'll either drown the shrubs into root rot or leave the vegetables gasping for water they never get. Split your garden into zones based on what each plant actually needs, not whichever schedule is easiest for you to remember. Water early before 9, while it's cool and the wind is calm. That gives the water time to soak down before the day's heat pulls it back into the air. Sandy soil, water every few days. Sand drains fast and holds almost nothing. Heavy clay? Stretch that gap out sometimes a full week. Clay holds moisture far longer. Loam, what most home gardens actually have, lands in between, roughly every 4 to 5 days in warm weather. There's no single number that works for every garden. Your screwdriver test tells you when. Not a calendar. Once your watering schedule is fixed, here's how you almost never have to think about it again. Cover the soil with 2 to 3 inches of organic mulch, wood chips, straw, or compost, all work. That layer does two things. It blocks the sun from baking moisture out of the soil. And it cushions every drop that lands, so the surface never compacts into a hard crust water can't get through. Stay in that 2 to 3 inch range. Go thicker, and the mulch starts soaking up light rain and irrigation before it reaches your soil, undoing the whole point. Get the depth right, and your soil holds its own moisture for days longer than it used to. You're not just watering smarter, you're building a garden that needs you less. Part 2. Pots and containers, an entirely different problem. The deep, infrequent approach you just learned doesn't transfer over the same way. A container holds a fraction of the soil volume of a garden bed, sitting above ground in full sun and wind. It heats up faster. It dries out faster. The same watering rhythm that works perfectly for your lawn will leave a pot bone dry days before you expect it. And here's the mistake almost everyone makes with containers, often for years without realizing it. You've probably heard that putting broken pottery, shards, gravel, or rocks at the bottom of a pot, gardeners call them crocks, improves drainage. The Royal Horticultural Society tested this directly. It's backward. Water doesn't move freely from fine potting soil into coarse material like loose shards or gravel. It has to fully saturate the soil layer above first. That creates what's called a perched water table, a waterlogged zone sitting right above your crocks, exactly where your plant's roots are trying to grow. You haven't improved drainage. You've built a swamp down there instead, and shrunk the usable soil your roots actually have to work with. So here's exactly how to get your container watering right. Method 1. Water until it actually drains out the bottom every time. Most people give a pot a quick splash on top and call it done. That's the same shallow watering mistake you just fixed in your garden beds, just trapped inside a smaller container. Pour slowly, pause, pour again, until water is visibly running out of the drainage holes below. That's the drain test, and it's the only real proof the entire root ball got wet, not just the top inch of potting mix. It costs nothing. It takes maybe 30 extra seconds per pot. And it fixes the exact same shallow root problem you already learned about, just happening in a pot instead of the ground. Method 2. The 5-gallon bucket trick. Almost nobody thinks to do this. Grab any container with a clearly marked 5-gallon line, even a regular gardening bucket. Turn on your hose or watering can, just like you normally water, and time how long it takes to fill that bucket completely. Say it takes 60 seconds. That tells you something useful. Your hose delivers roughly 5 gallons a minute. Now you know exactly how much water you're pouring out per second instead of guessing based on how long it feels like you've been standing there. Once you know that number, stop eyeballing every pot. Combine it with the drain test from Method 1. Start the timer, water steadily, and the moment water runs out the drainage holes, check how many seconds that took. For that specific pot, that specific hose, you now know how long it takes to fully saturate the root ball. Write it down. Every time after that, you're not standing there wondering if you've done enough. You're counting to a number you already know works. This is the same calibration principle commercial growers use on entire irrigation systems, just scaled down to a kitchen timer and a bucket you already own. Method 3. If you've got a lot of containers, or one that just never seems to behave, this is the upgrade. A basic soil moisture meter costs about as much as a coffee. Push the probe into the soil. Read the number. It works on the same idea agricultural researchers use with professional sensors. Those measure soil moisture electronically instead of relying on a finger test or a calendar. Yours just simplifies that into a 5-second readout instead of a lab instrument. Slide it down close to the bottom third of the pot, not just the surface. A meter that only reads the top inch will lie to you the same way your hose did. Stick it in before you even pick up the hose. Reads dry? Water using the timing method you just learned? Doesn't? Leave it alone. For a windowsill of herbs or a single tomato plant, the bucket trick is plenty. For a patio full of 20 pots, a $5 meter saves you from checking every single one by hand. Here's how you make sure you never deal with a swamped, struggling container again. First, skip the crocks entirely. Every pot needs proper drainage holes built into the bottom, not gravel or broken pottery faking the job. No drainage holes? Drill some, or don't use it for anything alive. Second, match your potting mix to the plant. A dense, moisture-holding mix that's perfect for a thirsty fern will sit waterlogged for days under a succulent that wants to dry out almost completely between waterings. That's the same hydrozoning mistake from your garden beds condensed into a single pot. Sort your containers the way you grouped your garden beds, thirsty plants together, drought-tolerant plants together, never mixed onto the same watering schedule just because they happen to share a patio table. Get the drainage right, get the mix right. Group plants by what they actually need, and you've permanently solved the waterlogging problem and the guesswork problem in containers for good. Now, here's something to watch out for. Even after everything you just learned, overwatered plants and underwatered plants can look almost identical from the outside. Drooping leaves, yellowing, a plant that just looks tired. The symptoms overlap so closely that even experienced gardeners misdiagnose which one they're dealing with and water in exactly the wrong direction because of it. If you've ever looked at a sad, droopy plant with no idea whether to water it more or stop completely, tell me in the comments which one you're dealing with right now. Because breaking down how to tell overwatering and underwatering apart leaf by leaf, root by root, is exactly what the next video is for. Thanks for watching. I hope you got real value from this. Remember, information only works when you apply it. Good luck from the Forgotten Harvest Vault, your one stop for hidden information they don't want you to have. Subscribe, share what you learned, and I'll see you when the next door opens.